Hello everybody. In this video we will try to understand what happens when Venus is sitting in the 11th house Aquarius for Aries ascendant. So basically in Vedic astrology ascendant means Lagna. So Aries ascendant means Aries is your Lagna house, that is your first house. And second house is Taurus. When Aries is your first house, automatically Taurus is your second house and Libra is your seventh house. So here both the second house and seventh house are ruled by Venus. So Venus becomes second and seventh lord for Aries ascendant. So Venus is the most important planet for Aries ascendant people. Now what is Venus? How you should see Venus as you are an Aries ascendant personality? As it rules the second house and seventh house, you need to understand the second house basically represents wealth, speech, family, accumulated assets, food habits, values. And the seventh house represents your marriage, spouse, partnerships, business, public dealing. How you behave with public, how you deal with public, that is decided by your seventh house. So the second house and seventh house matters. Most important things in your life. So Venus basically taking the lordship, or it is basically representing your money, your marriage, your family, your partnerships, your speech, your public image, the most important things of your life. Now Venus is very diplomatic by nature. It's very it's a good planet, we say. It knows how to deal with the difficult situations. It knows how to be very diplomatic even in the most difficult conversations. But there is an important classical rule here. It is the lord of second and seventh house, and second and seventh houses are Maraka houses. It's a kind of death-giving planets, death-giving houses. But do not worry about that. I will explain you very clearly. So even though Venus is a natural benefic, and Venus is ready to take the lordship of your second and seventh house and giving you something about these two houses, it is to an extent, it can be treated as a malefic planet as well. Not completely. I'm telling you again, generally 6th lord, 8th lord, 12th lord, these are generally treated as malefic houses, and some people say 11th house is the malefic and 11th lord is the malefic. There are different opinions, but you need to understand the nature of the planet here. But as a classic rule, the second and seventh house, these are the Maraka houses, right? So these are the Maraka houses. So Maraka houses are nothing but death-inflicting houses or killer houses, we say, in Vedic astrology. So how Venus is behaving for you, that should be understood very clearly if you are an Aries ascendant personality. 7th house is a Kendra house and also Maraka house. And second is, of course, it's a house of resources and also a Maraka house. So Venus is not purely benefic for Aries ascendant people. I want to tell it very clearly. If you're a beginner in Vedic astrology, then you think, okay, it's the lord of second and seventh house, all good houses. So Venus is a very, very good planet for me. But it is not completely true. It is not purely benefic for you. And another important thing I want to note here is your ascendant lord is Mars. And how is the relationship of Venus and Mars here? Because as an Aries ascendant, your personality is based upon Mars, and you are basically a kind of Mars, right? Your nature, your body, your physical body, right? It's all Martian. Then in that case, how Venusian energies would feel about you, how Venus feels about Mars. Venus and Mars, in most of the astrological literature I studied, they are neutral to each other. Some literature says they are enemies because energetically, because Mars always says I am fire, and Venus always says I am pleasure. The energies are a bit opposite to each other. They are polars, we say, opposite to each other. But most of the literature I studied, they are considering these two are neutral to each other. So, if you understand this very clearly, as you are an Aries ascendant personality, you should not treat Venus as a complete benefic. That's what I want to tell you. So, your Venus, basically, it represents desire for pleasure, wealth, and relationship that can challenge the fiery individuality of you, of Aries. Now, let's try to understand something more, how this Venus is actually, this energy, how it is for Aries ascendant. Now, because your Venus is in Aquarius, is the sign of Aquarius, this 11th house. Aquarius is your 11th house, and 11th house represents gains, income gains, right? Income is of course second house, the liquid cash, but finally what you gain is that would become your final amount. So your fulfillment of desires, your networking ability, and your elder siblings, your ambitions in your life, large social circles, that is all 11th house. And what is this Aquarius energy? This Aquarius energy is ruled by Saturn. And how about Saturn and Venus? Saturn and Venus are natural friends. They are natural friends. So what happens when Venus is sitting in your friend's house, in its friend's house, that is Aquarius? Then whatever Venus says, Saturn is going to do it. Here Venus feels very comfortable in Aquarius because it is sitting in its friend's house, and a friend has to do whatever you say. So whatever Venus says, Saturn does it. Now overall, this, if you think in terms of this placement, Venus sitting in Aquarius, it's a kind of comfortable position for Venus. Now totally Venus, the 2nd and 7th lord, sitting in the 11th house. So wealth lord in house of gains, marriage lord in house of gains. At the same time, Maraka planet in Upachaya house. 11th house is called as the Upachaya house also. Means the house, it's a growing house. As you grow, it gives more results for you. So overall, if you observe this whole energy, this creates a powerful desire-oriented life, right? Venus is giving desire, and sitting in the sign of Aquarius, 11th house. So Saturn is ready to, cooperate with Venus. So it seems to be that, whatever your ambitions, they are, trying to be fulfilled. It's not a very bad placement at all, at any cost. And let us see how this energy, feels like. The second lord sitting in the 11th house. In any Vedic astrology literature, you see, it is treated as the wealth generating wealth combination. Second lord sitting in the 11th house. And family connections bringing income. Speaking skills creating gains. Because second house is speaking skills and 11th house is gains. And person may earn through beauty, luxury, arts, finance, women-related industries as well. So money multiplies through networking as well. So second lord sitting in the 11th house is treated as a good placement. And what else is present here? A seventh lord is also sitting in the 11th house because Venus is also your seventh lord. Now, in classical astrology, we say when 7th lord is sitting in the 11th house, marriage is going to bring financial growth. Spouse may be socially active because 11th house is social circles and 7th house is your spouse. So 7th sitting in the 11th. So spouse is socially active. Spouse can be socially active. And marriage may be friendship based. It is another prediction. And gains through partnerships. You can gain through some partnership. And strong desire for social validation in relationships. That is another important thing. So, marriage becomes goal-oriented. It's a love plus ambition mixing together. Right? Sometimes it can also happen as something like marriage becomes a kind of goal-oriented. If you connect only these dots, this is what you can see. And Venus in Aquarius, I would say Aquarius is related to sociality, it's intellectuality, right? So this Venus is not very romantic in a traditional sense, I would say. So it's a kind of idealistic love, I would say. It's a kind of friendship-based marriage. It's a kind of network-based income, I can see. And large friend circles can be formed, right? So this is not an emotional Venus. This is not an emotional Venus at all. This is a social Venus, right? So this is not a romantic Venus. This is not a emotional Venus, right? I'm talking about your spouse basically. So this is a social Venus. And what about Maraka in 11th house? There's a Maraka in 11th house because 2nd lord and 7th lord, these two are 2nd and 7th are Maraka houses. A lot of it is Maraka planet. It is sitting in the 11th house. So Venus is Maraka planet for Aries. So 11th house is desire amplification house basically. Now these desires, 11th house is desire amplification house, and who is sitting here? The 2nd and 7th lord. So the desires related to wealth, relationships, pleasure, social recognition can become excessive in this person's life. And Aries, of course, is already ambitious. You are Aries ascendant. You are already ambitious. Now Venus is in the 11th. So your desires will get multiplied. Your desires will get multiplied. So what happens when a person's desires get multiplied? Because the person is Aries ascendant. Aries ascendant people are always ambitious. They always have some kind of desires. They want to achieve something. Now your Venus is also sitting in the 11th house, which is the house of desires. It is again giving you more and more desires. So your desires are getting multiplied. That can lead to multiple attractions in your life. Financial greed, social comparison. You compare yourself with in terms of social status with different people, and also your financial greed can be increased over the time. and running behind validation, running behind validation, running behind validation. There's another energy pattern running in your life. And what happens if this particular Venus is afflicted? Let us say some Rahu Ketu axis is also present across Aquarius Leo. That axis means your Venus is basically sitting on the Rahu Ketu axis. And what happens? You can see problems in marriage life due to social interference. You can see over dependence on spouse income. You can see financial instability due to luxury lifestyle. Because there's an affliction on Venus. Because it is sitting on the Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu Ketu axis gives some kind of affliction to the planet that is sitting upon, right, on this Rahu Ketu axis. Because Rahu Ketu, this axis, wherever it is present, and if a planet is sitting on this Rahu Ketu axis, there is an affliction on the significations of that particular planet. So if your Venus is sitting on the Rahu Ketu axis, like it's something like I would say your 511 axis. 511 axis is occupied by Rahu Ketu, then your Venus is afflicted, thereby due to affliction can see problems in marriage or over dependence on spouse income or financial instability due to luxury lifestyle. This can happen. Especially it's the 11th house influence, so problems in marriage due to social interference can be seen. Now, by observing all these facts, you may think, oh my God, is my Venus benefic or malefic here? Obviously, if your Venus is sitting on some Rahu Ketu axis, it has some affliction, that is a different point. But altogether, as a 2-7 sitting in the 11, and 2-7 is also Maraka houses, then how can you see it? Technically, it's not completely benefic, because 2nd house and 7th house are your Maraka houses. But it is placed in your friendly sign. Your Venus is sitting in your friendly house, because Aquarius is a friendly house for Venus. Is also sitting in your 11th house, which is Upachaya house, which improves over the time. Then, so in terms of Maraka energy, it is malefic, and in terms of sitting in the friendly sign and Upachaya house, the house that gives you more results, that gives you more growth over the time, it's a good thing for you. So I would say it's not a bad placement, right? It can give some financial strong financial gains in your life, but it increases desire. And your Aries ascendant, you're already an ambitious personality. So you should try to control your desires in your life. That is one thing I want to suggest. And you may ask, okay, overall this placement seems to be good, but it's not completely good because of this Maraka energy and also increasing desires, that one. So should I perform any remedies? Yes. Venus is a natural benefic. It is ready to give something good for you, sitting in the house, the friendly sign Aquarius, and also the 11th house, which is Upachaya house giving growth. So everything is good, but only the Maraka thing. You need to perform some remedies, right? It's not that, in Vedic astrology, it's not that we only perform remedies for completely malefic planets. We also perform remedies for Maraka planets, because your planet here, Venus, is Maraka. It's a death inflicting. It also a planet that can create imbalance if Rahu Ketu is also present here on the 511 axis. Because if Rahu Ketu is also isn't here, then your energy is a bit uncontrolled. So what where you need control. If you see your Venus as your Aries ascendant, you need control in marriage, wealth, speech and desire. If Venus is too strong, you are going to be completely pleasure driven. Let us say Rahu is joining your Venus and Ketu is somewhere sitting in the 5th house. So Rahu is joining your Venus in the 11th house. Just see, the person becomes pleasure driven, uncontrollable in this area. And if weak, let us say Ketu is sitting with Venus, even Rahu can also, right? Then also marriage suffers. So you need remedies. Also, you need to observe, if Sun is sitting with Venus here, means is Venus combust, right? Is your Venus retrograde? That is another question. So all these variables need to be considered. But if this analysis goes on, with all this, if Venus is combust, if it is afflicted by Rahu Ketu, or if it is watched by Saturn somewhere, or is it retrograde? See, Saturn, even though Saturn is a friend of Venus, if Saturn is watching Venus, Saturn aspects are always malefic, 3, 7, 10. So for that you need to perform some remedies, right? But generally, if this particular Venus is not present on Rahu Ketu axis, then this Venus is considered to be a good Venus. Up to 70 to 75%, I would say this Venus is good, until and unless if this Venus is not sitting on Rahu Ketu axis. If it is sitting on Rahu Ketu axis, then the control of Venus is gone. Then remedies are required, because it is an imbalanced Venus, I would say, if it is sitting on Rahu Ketu axis. So balance is required. If Rahu Ketu is Venus is sitting on Rahu Ketu axis, where balance is required? Balance is required in terms of desire, in terms of strengthening the relationship purity, the marriage relationship, the charity, right? So in terms of the kind of charity, some people, Venus sitting in the 11th house, Rahu Ketu is on that, so Venus is uncontrollable, so the gains will go into charity somewhere down, right? This can also be observed if Rahu Ketu, if somewhere Rahu Ketu imbalance is inflicting this Venus more. But it's in rare cases I saw this one. But the main thing I want to say is balancing in desire, if Rahu Ketu is also present here. So that balance can be achieved by avoiding over luxury lifestyle, avoiding multiple romantic distractions, and you need to respect your spouse. Thereby you can strengthen up your relationship purity. You should avoid any kind of ego fights, because this Rahu Ketu makes your Venus uncontrollable, right? So if Venus is on Rahu Ketu axis, then you have to chant Venus mantra 108 times on Fridays, at least 11 times in remaining days. So another important thing, as your Venus is sitting in the sign of Aquarius, Saturn sign, by serving poor or elderly people also can make your Venus balanced. So these are the most important things. If Rahu Ketu is not present with your Venus, then most of the times it works better. Sometimes I would say remedies are also not required. You can expect this particular Venus can be a good Venus, but you can do this Shukra mantra, right? Any Shukra mantra you can do 108 times on Fridays. That is a good thing. Even Rahu Ketu is not present on your Venus. And what is this basically? Aries ascendant people behavior as they always say, I want to conquer. That's their inner feeling always, right? They are a bit ambitious. It's the fiery energy they have. And Venus in 11th house is saying what? I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my rewards socially. Whatever social life is giving to me, the whatever enjoyment this social life is giving to me, I want to enjoy this. That's what Venus is saying. And as an Aries ascendant, you always say, I want to conquer, I want to win, right? You're a military guy, fundamentally, inside. And Venus is saying, I want to enjoy all the rewards given by this social things, because it is in the 11th house, which is the social circle. So totally, two energies, your bodily energies or your Venusian energies, everything are going to some kind of out of control. So you need to learn balancing your ambition with harmony. Balance, right? If uncontrolled, then your desire can become a kind of addiction in your life. If you are balancing that energy, yes, you can have some kind of massive financial gains in your life, massive social success in your life. So this particular placement is very good for people earning wealth through networking. It's very good for profitable partnerships in business, or spouse from different social background. This is also a very good thing. And also you can have gains from foreign or large organizations, because Aquarius is that foreign and large organization representation. And social media influence, because Aquarius is all about social media influence. And gains through technology or design, because Aquarius is all about technology, right? So this is what you can see if everything is going fine in your life. And if this particular Venus is not working well, you may have some kind of problems, especially if Venus is sitting on the Rahu-Ketu axis, or if Venus is having some kind of negative aspect of some planet, then a kind of, you see marriage as a kind of financial transaction in your life. Or you may have some kind of over expectation from your spouse, or your friends interfering in your marriage life, or you may have some kind of extramarital temptation in your life, or your financial ups and downs due to luxury. This can be seen. If you're seeing all these negative effects, or one of these negative effects, understand that your Venus is watched by some bad planet, or it is sitting on Rahu-Ketu axis. Thereby your Venus is not working to its full positive potential. Instead, it is working to some negative areas of in some negative areas of your life, right? So this is what I feel. So if your Venus is working negatively, as I said, then definitely you have to balance your Venus. So to balance your Venus, you perform all the remedies that I told you, especially the Shukra mantra 108 times on Fridays is very good. Another important thing is, if your Venus is working negatively, donate white sweets, rice, clothes to women on Fridays, right? And this is the overall energy I can feel with this particular placement, and it is the overall energy I can feel here. Thanks for watching this video.